You can only meet someone at the depth that you have met yourself. The reason why I gave this title to today's video is because during this eclipse tunnel, or this eclipse portal that we are moving through from one eclipse to the next, there is such a highlight here about relationships. And it's a very complex energy, actually. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of different aspects that are playing out in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of hidden, unseen during these eclipse. That's what eclipses are, right? They hide, they shield something from us that we're not fully aware of. And I want to touch today on relationships specifically, because as I took some time to reflect on my own relationships and on the dynamics of my own relationships, there was something profound that I realized, and it was something that actually wasn't letting me sleep last night. So I had to keep repeating this sentence over and over in my mind so that I wouldn't forget the context of what I needed to talk about today, of what this video is really about. And what I realized is that the reason why most people can't relate to other people, or they misunderstand other people often, is because they actually misunderstand themselves. So if you really think about it, like, most people walk through life never truly knowing who they are, never taking the time to observe themselves or to go deeper within themselves to really fully understand their inner workings, what makes them who they are, what triggers set them off and why those triggers set them off, right? Like, most people walk around in life very oblivious, and many end up passing away in life very oblivious to their own depth. And this is because their true essence, like their true nature, their soul divinity, is so buried under so many years of conditioning, of fears, of limiting beliefs, of societal programming. Like, there's so many things layered up on top of that depth, hiding that depth from them, that they literally never truly figure out who they are. And this is why I think so many people feel lost in life, and so many people feel so confused, about what their passion is or what their purpose is. There's such an emphasis on purpose lately, where more and more people are genuinely looking to connect to their purpose. And they're looking to connect to that purpose because they feel some kind of a disconnect within themselves. They feel and they know, even if it's not fully consciously, but more subconsciously, they know that there's something they're not seeing within themselves, that they're not connected to something within themselves. And then when you compound that with the illusions that we create within ourselves about who we are, the illusions and the lies, the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are, who other people are, and the world at large, right? And how the world operates. When we pile all of those illusions on top of it, you really get a massively distorted viewpoint of who you are, what your role is, what you are meant to learn in this life, who other people are, what their role is, what they're meant to learn in this life, how the world truly operates, and how certain things in society are so fixed or have been so embedded into the collective consciousness, or I should say subconsciousness, that honestly, it's truly no wonder that people can't love themselves purely, right? And someone who can't love themselves purely cannot love another purely either. It's pretty well impossible, because that connection has to take place within yourself first. That purity has to be reached within yourself first. You have to excavate it. You have to dig it out. You have to move everything out of the way that is illusion, that is not real, that is a lie about who you are, that is conditioning, that is programming. All of that gunk has to be cleared out of the way before you can access that purity within yourself, before you can really truly see it for what it is, connect to it, feel into it, and start living and breathing from it. Only then can we truly connect to others and love others in a very pure way. And this requires breaking the chains of your ego, right? The false limiting ego, breaking free of your attachment to pain, breaking free of your attachment to suffering, your attachment to expectation, especially of others, and even attachments of expectation towards yourself. These are things that you have to break free from, that we all have to individually break free from in order to find the essence of who we are, in order to truly be able to go very, very deep within ourselves and really see so many more facets to who we are, other than the illusion delusion that we've been feeding ourselves or telling ourselves, or other people have been telling us maybe for our whole life. Not to mention society, right? And society's contributions to basically telling you who you should be, how you should be, what you should be. And this truly requires like shadow work. This truly requires a willingness to work through every layer, every aspect, every facet of yourself that gets in the way of you fully acknowledging, accepting, and unconditionally loving yourself. And I'm talking here not just the pretty parts, not just the funny parts or the desirable aspects of yourself, and not just loving the good parts or the parts of you that, always says or does the right thing, but the ugly parts, the hidden parts that you are ashamed or embarrassed to show the world, the unconscious, unaware parts of you that you may be operating from either occasionally or on a regular basis. And I mean, this includes the inconsiderate, the angry, the impatient, or even sometimes downright mean parts of yourself that you wish didn't even exist. So when I say that you can only meet someone at the depth that you've already met yourself, what I mean is that you can only become accepting, patient, compassionate, and unconditionally loving to another person's flaws to the degree that you're able to be all of those things to your own flaws. And this is why I've said many times before that we are eternally mirrors for one another. So every single person that you encounter, every single person that you have ever met in your life, or that you interacted with in any kind of a way, whether it was through a video like this, whether it was in the grocery store, whether it was at the bank, whether it was with your family member, every single one of those people has mirrored something back to you about yourself. And sometimes in order for our best and highest good and for maximum growth, what is mirrored back to us is usually the amount of self-love that we already have for ourselves, which will show up through somebody else's kindness towards us, or it will show up as that lack of self-love through somebody else's lack of kindness towards us. So what I've come to understand about relationships, not only from my own personal experience, but also from coaching other people and observing other people's relationships, is that every single relationship is mirroring two things back to us, or that basically other people's behavior towards us carries or mirrors two messages. The first mirroring, or one of the mirrorings, is going to be the depth or lack of depth that they have met within themselves. That's going to be evident to you through how they communicate, how they show up, how they behave. And this pertains to the level of understanding that they have of themselves and for themselves. And the second thing they're going to mirror to you is a reflection of your own depth within yourself, your own understanding and acceptance of who you are, and how far you have come on your own internalized journey of self-realization and self-actualization. So when you think about it, there's so much information, there's so much value in interacting with one another, because we can see this reflection play out when somebody cuts us off in traffic, when someone lies to us or betrays us, or when someone unexpectedly pays for our coffee in line, or compliments our outfit, or compliments our hair, or something, or says something nice about us, right? Like, there are so many different ways in which this energy can play out, and in which we are mirrored. How we feel about ourselves is mirrored. How we think or view ourselves is mirrored. So when you really think about it, like, most people go through life never ever realizing that our relationships and interactions with one another endlessly mirror and provide clues about who we are and how far along we are on our journey. Isn't that crazy? And by journey, I mean like your soul's developmental journey. So what I would really encourage everyone to do right now is, through this eclipse window, through this period of uncovering the hidden, it's a very opportune time for us to really reflect on this. Like, it's really a good time right now to reflect on how you love yourself, how you don't love yourself. What are the stories that you're still telling yourself that need to go now, right? That's what these eclipses are representing. They're encouraging us, they're pushing us towards releasing, towards letting go of everything that is holding us back, to letting go of all of those layers that are in the way that I talked about earlier. The conditioning, the programming, the false beliefs, the teasing, lies, and bullying that, you believed or took on as a part of your identity from perhaps when you were a kid or maybe from when you were in high school. Like, these are all things that we don't even realize, stay with us. They linger. They create an additional layer. And every single time you get hurt, every single time something happens where, you're disrespected or you're not loved or someone is mirroring that kind of energy back to you, if you don't realize that this is a mirroring process and the two facets of the mirror, the two faces of that mirror, that one of them is mirroring them of who they are and how conscious or unconscious they are, how they love or don't love themselves. And the other facet or the other side of the mirror is them mirroring you. And it could be both positive and negative, right? People will mirror back to us our own self-love, and people will also mirror to us how we don't love ourselves by treating us like shit. So I really encourage you at this time, and like I said, in these last 2 weeks of March, to take some time out to really connect with yourself, to really look at the mirroring aspect of relationships in your life at this time and see what it has been mirroring to you. What have your past experiences with other people been mirroring to you? About you, about where you are on your journey. And think about all the times that you showed up strong and powerful and confident, self-loving, self-assured. And think about all the times when you didn't show up as those things and you showed up as angry, frustrated, immature, impatient, critical, judgmental. Because right now, in this profound eclipse window, I feel we're in this energy, in this time warp of things really wanting to clear out so that new things can come in, so that a new perspective can come in, so that a shift in how you see yourself can take place, and not only take place, but take root within you. Because this is the time, and now is the time, and this is the month where we are not only seeding, but we are rooting aspects of ourselves that we haven't allowed to blossom before, and experience aspects of ourselves that we haven't experienced before. It's like becoming versions of yourself that you haven't been before. And that's why I'm saying all of this, and this is why I'm talking about all of this, is because this can be a very scary process, right? I talked about identity shifting. I talked about identity crisis. Actually, even in my last newsletter, I was talking about that. Like, we're collectively moving through this very big shedding process. We are in the year of the snake. Reminder again, I'm going to keep reminding people throughout the year that we are in the energy of the snake this year. So it's a shedding process of all the old, outdated ways that we have been, all the ways in which we have been anchored into looking at ourselves the same way, doing life the same way, experiencing life the same way. Because when we can recognize what has been the same, what has been stagnating, what has not changed, then we can start consciously choosing to operate in a different way. So for right now, just focus on the things that you are aware of, and do not worry about the things that you are not aware of. That is still within your subconscious mind, buried, hidden, eclipsed from you. Because those are the parts of you that are going to be mirrored over these next 2 weeks still. It's already been happening for the first 2 weeks of March, and now it's going to continue happening for the second half of March until we wrap up the eclipse cycle. And just remind yourself, when you are moving through difficulty, that some of these mirroring processes can be really jarring, can be really triggering. Because when you don't know yourself deeply, when you don't know all the different facets and aspects of your shadow and of your light, then what we tend to do is we blame other people, right? We look externally for the causes of our discomfort when we are interacting with other people, right? We point the finger. It's like, well, it's this or it's that they said or did that made me feel this way. But is it? And never forget that most people project their unhealedness onto others. So when we have, our society now labeled the Karens, those are unhealed individuals just projecting their unhealedness onto other people. That's why they can be loud, dramatic, angry, frustrated, impatient, have this false sense of entitlement, right? And the really sad part is that we have this belief ingrained within all of society that only the pretty, nice, polite, and perfect aspects of ourselves are valuable. And only those parts are acceptable. And everything else that is not like a feel-good aspect of us or a feel-good quality is basically judged, it's shunned, it's disowned, it's disregarded, it's frowned upon, it's unaccepted. And that's something that I feel like I just want to do everything in my power to pluck that, to uproot this very deeply rooted belief in our society, because that is the number one cause of suffering in relationships. It's the number one reason why everyone judges everyone all the time, why we judge ourselves. And it truly creates such an incredible divide, not only among people, but within ourselves. And in my opinion, this is like the primary contributor of fakeness in our society. This is what causes people to be so fake. Because what we dislike about ourselves, we dislike about other people. What we don't accept within ourselves, we don't accept from other people either. And it just keeps these endless loops and endless cycles of judgment, of suffering, of pain, of disowning alive in our society. It just keeps that energy going. So not accepting our shadow, not getting to know it on a very deep, very personal level within us, creates a serious divide within ourselves that is accompanied by a constant feeling of not being whole, not being complete, not being good enough. This is where self-worth, that's why self-worth issues come in. That's why the root chakra is such a predominantly important chakra to work with, because so many of us have false information, false narratives, false beliefs stored in there about our self-worth. And that feeling of not being good enough or not being complete in some kind of way, because you're shunning the shadow aspects of yourself or those parts of yourself that actually help you to grow, when you're shunning those, what it creates is a void that you're going to want to endlessly fill with external pleasures, right? It's a void that you're going to want to fill with other people's validation, other people's reassurance, acceptance of you, or like their love, for example. And this is where codependency comes in. And all of this only compounds this infinite craving of validation, this infinite craving of acceptance. But think about this for a minute. What if we all learned how to connect to the deepest parts of ourselves, the darkest parts of ourselves, and start examining what's in there, start looking at what's in there, and start looking at the value that it actually holds and the lessons that it offers us to learn, to integrate? What if we accepted those parts of ourselves? And what if we accepted that we are all a work in progress? Every single one of us. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Dalai Lama. We are all a work in progress. And what if we accepted the fact that we all came here to play out our own karma so that we can break free of it, so that we can liberate our souls from endless cycles of suffering? And not only from our own individual karma, but like the karma of our family lineage, the collective societal karma, right? That we all are contributing to, that we all plug into and are connected to. The karma of like all the past generations that have been passed down to us because they were unable to heal it, they were unable to overcome it, or they were unable to learn those lessons that that karma was providing them. So what if we learned to forgive ourselves, to accept our flaws? And what if we chose to express the highest version of ourselves without judging or like indicating what that should look like? Because sometimes you express the highest version of yourself by choosing to be kind instead of choosing to be right when somebody hurts you, especially if that someone doesn't want to apologize or they won't apologize. Or sometimes we express the highest version of ourselves when we hurt someone and we choose to apologize, where we humble ourselves and give that person a heartfelt apology. What's really important here is that it's not about other people. Life is about you, about how you choose to show up, how you choose to respond to life itself, how you choose to see your own flaws, and how you choose to address those flaws. Because once you realize and once you fully accept that you will never be able to control other people, you will never be able to fix anyone or make them see something that you see or make them understand you from a certain perspective. Once you sort of release those expectations, right? Release those attachments that create so much suffering for so many different people, life really just starts to unfold. It's like you just feel and experience so much more inner peace, so much more inner joy, because you're no longer allowing other people's projections, other people's negativity, or other people's unhealed, unconscious behavior to influence your happiness, to influence how you see yourself, to degrade your self-worth, your internal value. And that in itself is so incredibly liberating and freeing. Now, is this process easy? No. No, I'm not saying that this is an easy process, because it truly is an unfolding. It truly is a process where you have to kind of go through your shadow aspects. You have to be willing to go in and peel back every layer and look at that layer, understand that layer, because that layer will not fall away until you have integrated the lessons, until you have deeper understanding of why it's even there in the first place. And this process can be especially challenging if you consider the stronghold that the ego has over our mind, right? Justifying our pain or justifying, your expectations of others. So I know firsthand that it takes a lot of patience, a lot of courage, a lot of compassion and persistence to break free of the deeply ingrained patterns of the ego, to break free from the pattern or the belief in the suffering. It takes exceptional persistence to love yourself wholly, unconditionally, purely, without judgment. And I'm talking about loving all of you. So not just loving yourself when you do the right thing, but also loving yourself when you're not doing the right things. So I don't know if you've noticed, but this Pisces season has been exceptionally emotional. It has been an exceptional deep dive into aspects of ourselves that I think have been uncomfortable to face. There has certainly been a lot of things coming up with relationships, like I said, and that's why I made this video. Just connections where the truth is truly being revealed at this time, where we are really seeing other people for who they are as well. And I feel like it's given us this like higher, more spiritual perspective on how to like view ourselves and how to view other people as well. Like it's been a very revelatory energy is what it feels like to me. And I feel like a lot of this revelatory energy has been coming through other people, like through connections, through relating with one another. So it's been giving us glimpses into ourselves, into deeper aspects of ourselves that we still need to heal, that we still need to love, so that we can be less triggered, less frustrated, less impatient with other people who also need to heal probably those same things within themselves, who probably also need to learn how to love themselves. Not probably, but most definitely. And from what I've seen and from what I've heard just through working with clients is that this has come for some people in a more gentle form. For others, it has come through in a more abrupt way, in a more like in your face kind of way. But ultimately, this has all been just reminding us of that inherent, unbreakable bond and connection that we share with one another. And I'm not just talking about like within family or with your friends or coworkers or the people that you know, but I'm talking as a human family. I'm talking as a full collective. Like we are connected. We have this unbreakable bond with one another. That is why we mirror stuff to one another. That is why we are all not only students, but masters. It's showing us this incredible connection that we have with each other on this planet. And this is also revealing to us the illusions that we haven't broken through yet. The illusions that other people haven't broken through yet for themselves, where they still keep themselves small, or they still feel very unworthy, or they simply just don't know how to love themselves or how to accept themselves. And you can tell because those are the people that are really unhappy. So we are forever mirroring to one another, pretty much till the day we die, unhealed parts of ourselves or just unloved parts of ourselves. And this ripples out in the form of energy, right? Like we are constantly beaming out a signal. And this is why we can discern more easily now who is healed and who isn't healed, right? Because it's just a vibe thing. You can just feel a sense of peace, a sense of calm around someone who has that internal peace, who has embodied that internal calm. And you will feel the chaos, the uneasiness, the disruption or unintegrated parts within somebody. You can feel that when you're next to them. You can just tell because they're just emanating this certain energy. They have this certain vibe to them that will make you feel uncomfortable, that will make you feel restless, that'll make you feel impatient all of a sudden, right? So it's not only a chaos that they are feeling within themselves, but it is a chaos that you can feel from them. And this is why taking care of our energy, taking care of our side of the street, as I like to put it, is so important. You know, taking care of your vibration, taking care of that homework, that shadow work that needs to be done. Because who you are and the vibration that you carry is felt by every single person that encounters you, whether it's through a screen or in person. And it always starts with the people that are closest to us, right? Our family, our spouse, our partner, our mother, father, whoever. Like, it is always felt by those people first and foremost. So while we are under this eclipse energy, while we are in this eclipse window, take some time to reflect. Reflect on how you could love yourself more. What is your heart, your soul, your body, your mind craving more of at this time? And what do you need to now let go of permanently so that you can fully step into who you are, so that you can meet yourself on a deeper level? And I'd like to end today's video with the definition of self-actualization. So self-actualization is when a person fully accepts themselves without striving to become different than they already are, allowing them to show up as their true self. And I found a beautiful quote by Richard Baird, who is a psychologist and an expert on human development. And I just absolutely loved the way that he put this. So I want to share it with you. He says, "We begin our psychological journey by learning to survive, and we complete the journey by learning to serve. We start our lives in ego consciousness, and if we are successful in meeting our deficiencies and growth needs, we end our lives in soul consciousness." So basically, self-actualization is the necessary step to undergo that transformation of consciousness. So I hope you take some time over, like I said, the last 2 weeks of this month to really look at how you can step up, how you can shift, pivot, what needs to end, what needs to begin. Because despite having a mixed bag of energy, where we have some energy that is going to be quite destructive in the sense that it's going to destroy, wash away, clear away things that are not working, there's also this building energy simultaneously where we get to truly build our character, where we truly get to become better versions of ourselves through that self-recognition, through that deepening of self-awareness. Because remember, my friend, you can only meet someone at the depth that you have already met yourself. I'm wishing you a beautiful day, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Take care.